Today, I'm doing another video about the Amazon Prime show Invincible. But this time, I'm talking about the Battle Beast versus the Guardians of the Globe fight scene.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Hey interns, I'm Dr. Chris Raynor and I am not your everyday ortho. I teach you about sports injuries, orthopedic surgery, and medical topics in a way that's easy to understand and entertaining. Today for Orthopedic Rounds, I'm going to look at a scene from the Amazon show Invincible where Battle Beast fights and defeats the members of the new Guardians of the Globe. If you want some of my short form content, I'm on TikTok and Instagram. Follow me there and ask me anything. When I'm watching Invincible, I have to constantly remind myself that this is not your typical cartoon because the battles are quite graphic and result in extremely grave injuries. Consequently, consider yourself warned that this video will contain some simulated graphic footage of injuries and a discussion of what happens. If you're squeamish or if you haven't watched this episode, please check out one of my other videos about sports injuries or chiropractic care. From the comic Vine on GameSpot.com, Battle Beast is a world conqueror and hunter who presently works as a bodyguard for Machine Head. He is 7'6" and weighs in at 775 pounds. He possesses superhuman strength and can lift over 50 freaking tons. Well, Imperial tons, that is. He engages in battle with the Guardians of the Globe at Machine Head's penthouse office. Given his history of conquering entire planets, to be honest, the Guardians didn't really stand a chance. Invincible.
Offered worthy opponents. But oh, how you disappoint. Killing you is an act of mercy.
Boom. Is that even survivable? Battle Beast finishes Invincible here after he has been defeated by Machine Head's bodyguards. Battle Beast first steps on Mark's ankle, crushing it with all 775 pounds of his weight. Although Mark is half Viltrumite, this kind of weight would result in a crush injury of Invincible's foot and ankle. We could expect comminuted or multifragmentary fractures of the ankle and the many bones of the foot. These fractures would likely be intra-articular, meaning that they would extend into the joints between bones. That would suck because it would increase the chance of Invincible developing post-traumatic arthritis of his foot and ankle. Next, Battle Beast literally caves in Invincible's chest with his mace. Judging by the amount of blood that it spattered into the air on contact, I would normally anticipate that this would be a lethal blow, but Invincible is half Viltrumite, so this fact saves his bacon. However, he would have suffered a sternal fracture and multiple anterior rib fractures. Some of these might cause a flail chest wall segment, where several ribs are broken in more than one location. He would likely have injuries to his lungs that would cause a pneumothorax, hemothorax, or even a hemopneumothorax. Given the strength that Battle Beast is rumored to possess, Invincible might also have suffered injury to his mediastinum, the area that contains the heart, major vessels, the esophagus, the trachea, the thoracic duct, cardiac and phrenic nerves, and the central lymph nodes. To be honest, Battle Beast might have also fractured his thoracic spine from the freaking front. And generally, this is a combination of injuries that, were they not lethal, would leave Invincible clinging to life by the thinnest of threads. If he was even aware, he could anticipate multiple reconstructive surgeries, an extended stay in the intensive care unit, a prolonged recovery were he fully human, and possibly even an inability to remain a superhero if he was left with functional deficits after recovery. This video was sponsored by Human 2.0, your trusted source for online training in bodyweight exercise, kettlebells, animal flow, primal movement, and injury prevention. If you're interested in any one of those things, then check them out here on YouTube. If you're looking for awesome live workouts, then sign up for their live workout sessions with the link in the description. The first 50 people that sign up with the code BATTLEBEAST will get 20% off their sign-up price. Black Samson.
Black Samson, retreat.
Bam! And that was over quickly. Battle Beast quickly dispatches Black Samson without much effort. He grabs Black Samson out of the air and utterly crushes his left hand and wrist in the process. We can see that this is a comminuted open fracture of the distal radius, meaning that this is a multi-fragmentary fracture involving the wrist, where the fragments of the fracture have punctured through the skin and become exposed to the air and the contaminants outside of the body. Open fractures like these would carry a risk of infection and would be more likely to be delayed in healing. They would also have an increased chance of post-traumatic arthritis of the hand and wrist. With the amount of shattering that was shown, it is clear that there would also be extensive bone loss in the hand and wrist area. Given that this was a crush injury, there is also the possibility that nerves and blood vessels of the hand and wrist would be injured and that a compartment syndrome might arise. Next, Battle Beast slams Black Samson into the ground face first, crushing Black Samson's face in a pool of blood. We can see Black Samson's contorted left wrist as he lays on the ground for a brief moment before being whipped across the room into the far wall. As for the facial smash, with the impact demonstrated, I would expect to see a Lafort 3 facial fracture, where the face is basically separated from the skull. Of course, this type of high energy impact to the head would also cause a closed head injury, the least of which would be a concussion, but could possibly result in an intracranial hemorrhage or bleeding within the skull. Either one of these injuries could leave Black Samson with permanent facial deformities and deficits that could range from visual and those affecting speech and eating to significant cognitive and functional deficits affecting his ability to walk, communicate, or even function independently. Whipping Black Samson into the wall 20 feet away wouldn't make any of these injuries any better, and would very likely make the effects of the closed head injury even worse. Monster Girl.
Pathetic child.
Boom. Ah. Oh, that'll do it. That'll do it.
Okay.
After throwing Monster Girl up into the ceiling, Battle Beast punches Monster Girl in the face, knocking her across the room and into the far wall. She lands hard enough to create a deep gouge in the concrete floor as she slides across the room after the impact. Given that her size is comparable to that of Battle Beast, we might not expect these blows and impact to cause much significant damage. However, when Battle Beast jumps across the room and lands squarely in the middle of her chest with both feet, this might be more problematic. We could expect that 1/3 of a ton landing on her chest might cause similar injuries to her chest wall that were caused by Battle Beast's mace when he struck Invincible. Then, when Battle Beast uses 2 chunks of concrete to crush Monster Girl's skull like a walnut, we can expect much more serious and potentially lethal injuries here. Of course, we can anticipate similar closed head injuries as those discussed with Black Samson, but this time, with the impact being directed towards the skull or cranial vault specifically, we can anticipate more severe injuries to the actual parenchyma or brain tissue. Here, there would likely be several skull fractures with direct injuries to brain matter itself, including cerebral lacerations and possibly even exposed brain matter. At the very least, we can see Monster Girl unconscious with most of her facial skin degloved or ripped off, maxillary fractures, and lost dentition or teeth. Here, the brain injuries would take precedent and might necessitate a decompression via a craniotomy. If protruding fragments of the skull were putting pressure on brain tissue, these fragments would be stabilized with surgical implants or removed if warranted by concerns about intracranial pressure. Facial fractures would likewise be stabilized by surgical implants. Degloved facial skin would be more problematic to treat, as this would require skin grafts from elsewhere on the body and could result in facial disfigurement. Of course, as Monster Girl is in fact a monster, disfigurement may not actually be problematic for her, as it might actually make her more monstrous. But this is all irrelevant if she does not survive this encounter. Fortunately for the Guardians, Battle Beast decides that the Guardians are not worthy opponents, and he teleports from the scene of the fight before he takes his usual trophies, their heads. After Battle Beast vacates the scene, Cecil and the Global Defense Agency arrive to pick up the pieces and save the injured Guardians from their otherwise imminent demises. Be sure to let me know in the comments whether you watched this show, and if so, what was your favorite part of this scene? If you like this video and you want to see another one, then let me know that also down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you for rounds next week. And as always, that's been a word from Dr. Chris, not your everyday ortho.
Just a flesh wound.